Hi everyone and welcome to Vlogmas Day 10. So for today I figured I would do a little like get ready with me and also let's talk about something. I've already started to get a little bit tired with doing vlogs every day, so I'm like, let's break it up a little bit, let's do something different. And after yesterday, this topic has really weighed heavily on me. And I did actually bring it up earlier in Vlogmas, but today I really want to talk about the current state of Christmas romance novels. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right on into it. I'm gonna put my moisturizer on. And really, like, this entire topic has been kind of on my mind for a while, but it really didn't bug me enough to talk about it in a serious way until last night. So if you've been keeping up with my Vlogmas this year, you'll know that I checked out a lot of different audiobooks from Hoopla and Libby, and the majority of them were Christmas rom-coms or like romances or whatever. And so I actually ended up finishing A Court of Sugar and Spice last night. That's not really what I'm here to talk about. That book was fine. It wasn't like super Christmas oriented or anything. It was really just like a smutty adult romance retelling of The Nutcracker. And so really it was just fine. Nothing to write home about, nothing to get too upset about. It was just like whatever. And so after I finished that, I was like, I really need something else to read. And I have all of these Christmas romances checked out. Why not just go down the list and figure out which one you want to read first? And so I actually ended up starting off with the kind of more autumnal romance that I had checked out. And that one was called Before We Were Us by Denise Hunter. And so I tried that one out and I was just like, you know what, that's not for me. I'm not really loving the writing style. I don't really care about this book all that much, you know. Immediately I could just tell right off the bat it just was not going to be the kind of book for me. And so I just kind of like chalked that up to like, oh, you know, like sometimes audiobooks work out for me, sometimes they don't. It's not that big of a deal, whatever. And so I move on to like my actual Christmas romances. So I try out One Christmas Morning by Rachel Greenlaw. That's like a legit Christmas romance and I'm hoping that I'm gonna love it, and I end up just feeling like very meh about it. I get like maybe 30 minutes in, I'm just like, okay, on to the next one. So then I check out The Merry Matchmaker by Sheila Roberts. Another Christmas romance, another very obvious Christmas romance. That one, same thing. It doesn't work for me, it's not working out. And so I'm like, you know what? This is getting a little weird. I don't know why. It's like every single book is just like not working for me. And I can't even chalk it up to me being in a slump or anything, because I'm not in a slump. I'm reading perfectly fine. I'm not in a bad mood for reading or anything like that. Like, I'm in a perfectly fine mood. I really want to start a new book, and for some reason it's just not working out. And so then I end up going over to Libby and I have the book Most Wonderful by Georgia Clark checked out, and I'm like, okay, this has got to be it. This is my last Christmas romance book that I have checked out on both apps. This one has to be the one that I end up liking. It's like a queer romance. It follows 3 different characters who are siblings, and it really feels like it should have the making of a book that I would absolutely love. So I start this book, and nearly within like the first chapter or 2, I'm just like, this is not for me. And really kind of one of the similar threads in each book that like really turned me off of the book very quickly was just how weird Christmas is presented in most of these books and how it's kind of treated within the plot, within the writing, etc. I just feel like it's too cringe for me. I don't know why. And I hate to use the word cringe. I hate to be like, oh, cringe culture, whatever. But just like, I can't do the silly, cutesy Christmas puns. It's just not for me. And typically I love a pun. If you do it right, I'm gonna love it. But for some reason, these puns are just like so bad, to the fact where I'm just like, I can't read this book if we are already getting bad puns within the first chapter or 2. And I've seen this happen so often with Christmas rom-coms. I don't know why authors who write Christmas rom-coms love a silly, ridiculous pun. I don't get it. And you're probably sitting there being like, Allie, if you don't like it, then you don't have to read it. Like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a bad thing about Christmas romance books. And like, that's very true. If people like this, that's totally fine, and like literally no judgment. But I think that especially during this Vlogmas season, like this year specifically, I'm really realizing that like holiday romances probably not for me as a whole. I'm really bummed too, because I was really expecting this year to be like, okay, I'm really gonna try to dedicate myself to reading Christmas romances, and I'm really gonna try to find ones that I like. And I've never really, you know, read Christmas romances or really any holiday romances before. I typically try to stay away from them, not really for any reason other than the fact that I just feel like the time of reading them is so fleeting. Like, I'm not gonna read a Christmas romance in the middle of July. Like, it's just not gonna happen. I know some people do that, and that's totally fine, no judgment. But like for me, I am such the type of person that's like, if I'm going to read something seasonal, it has to be within that season, or it has to at least be like leading up to that season. So like, I'm not gonna read an autumnal book in the middle of March. So that's why I've just never really picked up a Christmas romance before, because I feel like every time during Christmas, I just don't really feel like I'm in the mood for a specifically Christmas romance, and then outside of Christmas I'm just not going to pick it up. And as I've gotten older and as I've continued to read in a more dedicated sense, I feel like I can really trust myself of like what I like or what I don't like. And for some reason, every once in a while I'll want to try to get out of my comfort zone and be like, well, maybe I might like this, maybe this will be like my new thing, like maybe I'll really enjoy a Christmas romance, you never know. And it's funny because most of the time when I go out of my comfort zone, I'd say like 80% of the time with books specifically, I don't end up liking it. I know myself so well, I know my reading taste so well that like going out of my comfort zone, while it might be exciting in theory, it really doesn't do anything for me as a reader. And so getting myself out of my comfort zone and trying out like half a dozen Christmas romances, it just doesn't work. I don't know why. I wish it did, because I would love to be able to like cozy up in my bed and put like my sparkly lights on and put my candle on and like curl up with a cute little Christmas romance. That sounds like really great in my head. Unfortunately, I just don't like Christmas romances enough to be like, I'm going to dedicate my entire December to Christmas romances. And I had all these plans of doing more sort of like dedicated Christmas reading vlogs, and that's just not gonna happen because I can't stand Christmas romances. And I don't know what it is, because it's like these perfectly fine authors who write perfectly fine books for the rest of the year end up writing these Christmas rom-coms that are just so cheesy. And I'm also wondering if maybe a lot of them are inspired by Christmas movies that I just personally don't like. As I don't like Love Actually, I don't really like The Holiday, I didn't like Family Stone, that movie was terrible. And those are three of like the most popular Christmas romance movies, rom-coms, whatever, especially amongst romance authors. So I'm wondering now, I'm like trying to put like the things together of like, maybe they're being inspired to write these Christmas romance books that I don't like, based on their love for Christmas rom-coms that I also don't like. That's actually starting to make a lot more sense now. I wonder if like people were writing Christmas romance books based off of, say, oh, Last Holiday. Love that one with Queen Latifah. That one is so good. What are other ones that I really enjoy that are like specifically Christmas? I feel like that's tough though, right? Because like, I guess a lot of Nora Ephron's movies are like kind of Christmassy. Like, I'm pretty sure there's Christmas in Sleepless in Seattle. I'm pretty sure there's Christmas in You've Got Mail. There's a little bit of Christmas in When Harry Met Sally, but I always feel like that movie is either very much fall themed or like, of course at the end they do New Year's Eve. So I kind of think of it as that as well. So I guess like those kind of work for like a Christmas rom-com. I guess I'm more like into like Elf. I really like Elf. I watch that every year. Or I'll watch like Little Women every year during Christmas, and that's like very much a Christmas movie to me. So I'm wondering maybe if I find Christmas movies that are more centered around like the idea, like the vague idea of Christmas, not necessarily like where Christmas is like the central theme and everything they do is Christmas, and you know, they get Christmas cookies or Christmas coffee or Christmas whatever. Like, I don't think that's really for me. I think I would prefer a romance book where like there is Christmas in the background, Christmas is happening, but it's not the central theme. Also, While You Were Sleeping, that's probably my favorite Christmas rom-com. And even in that movie, Christmas is really just like a backdrop and it's not necessarily like the central theme of the movie. So yeah, I think that's just like where I land on like a Christmas rom-com, is that like it's not necessarily that they are objectively bad. There aren't really any objective issues with Christmas rom-coms. I know some people really love them. I know some other people really don't like them as well. So I guess it just really depends. And I just don't think I'll ever find like a dedicated Christmas rom-com that I end up absolutely loving and that I need to read all the time. I will say that there is a Christmas book that I used to read almost every single year, and I can't really remember what the title of it was. I believe it was by Cynthia Hand, and it was sort of a retelling of A Christmas Carol, and I really enjoyed that. Now I can't remember what it was called, but I'll put it up on the screen and I know I'll remember it after, like while I'm editing. So here it is. It's really good. It's like a YA Christmas Carol retelling, and I used to read it like almost every single year during Christmas, and that one is probably the most Christmas centric book that I actually do enjoy. So yeah, I have to say that that kind of foiled a lot of my reading plans for this month specifically. So I'm gonna have to figure out like what books I'm gonna want to read now that I don't really have those Christmas romances to fall back on, and like I don't really have that TBR set up anymore. So I am gonna have to really like figure out what books I want to end my year with. I feel like that always holds a lot of weight for me for some reason, where I'm just like, I pressure myself really hard to find like the most perfect books to read for the end of the year, because you know, you never know, you might end up really loving them. And like that does happen a lot, is like where I will read books in December and they will become my favorite books of the year. So I always find it funny when people are like, I'm gonna start my end of the year wrap-ups in December, and I'm like, really? Because you're not reading books that you might absolutely love in December? You never know. You never know, you might pick up a book and absolutely love it, and too bad you already did your wrap-up and like best books of the year. So yeah, I like to tend to do those in January just so I can get like everything taken care of, everything. So yeah, I finished my makeup, it's all done, and that means that the video is over. So I guess moral of the story is that you probably won't see me read a Christmas rom-com again this year. Or maybe even any other year, honestly. I don't think that holiday / Christmas romances are in my future. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel just so you can follow along with the rest of Vlogmas with me. Definitely check out all the links down below, and I will see you all in my next video tomorrow. Bye!